G'day, I'm Howdy and I've been working at Australia Zoo for about 5 years now. I've been eager to learn more about the Wildlife Hospital, the animals we care for, and the hard work that goes into their rehabilitation and treatment. Today, I thought that I'd go and check it out and bring you guys along for the ride. I arrived to find Dr. Katie already working on her first patient of the day. This beautiful ringtail possum is Andrea. She was found, unfortunately, unresponsive in a public park. After receiving some treatment in Brisbane, she was brought down to us to receive specialised care.
I'm just looking for any clear signs of electrocution. Is that sometimes what we see if they've just been found on the ground?
Electrocution?
From power lines, which is what they love to cross, so we often see little burns on the feet or tail or the mouth, but everything's
Possums, being arboreal, spend most of their time climbing. In suburban areas, this can mean trees, but it can also mean fences and sometimes power lines. Dr. Katie's primary concern is to check for evidence of power line related injuries. For Andrea, however, this does not appear to be the case. Our next step was to collect fluids for further testing. While we wait for the results to come in, the vets and I debate the correct pronunciation of Andrea.
Do you say Andrea or Andrea?
I know both.
That doesn't. How would you say
for this child?
It's a girl.
For Andrea.
Andrea?
Now we move on to check up on those fluid samples. It's about to get real sciencey.
So what I'm looking at here is a sample from that possum's abdominal fluid. We test this especially in our possums just because they have such a large, fragile gut. While from the outside it looks like there's nothing wrong and she's moving well and doing everything normally, there are actually a lot of inflammatory cells. So I can tell that she has had a bleed fairly recently, but the body's already trying to fix it up. There's absolutely no infection, so that gives her a much better prognosis. What we will do though is recheck this every few days to make sure that she's tracking in the right direction. So we want to make sure that we keep seeing more and more of the cleanup crew and less of the blood. At this stage, she still has a good chance of getting through because her body's doing all the right things to clear this blood.
Now that we have some more information, the vets take her weight and collect some x-rays to see if we can find any more clues.
I've just seen on her x-ray she's also got a spinal deformity. It doesn't look fresh, which would explain why she can still move. She's pretty lucky that she can. But it looks to me like she's got a little bit of a step and probably a slipped disc because the spaces between the vertebrae are narrowed. In the spine you can see all of the vertebral bodies have a nice gap between them. That's where the disc space is. And as we go down, that doesn't exist here. These kind of look fused in this view, and then we go back to being normal spaces. And then in this view, we've got nice and straight. All of a sudden, this guy's just going his own way, which I'd say lines up here that from above we can't see the space anymore because it's a bit of overlap. But we've obviously had some trauma in the past to cause this step, and then back here it goes back normal. But I wonder if this vertebrae has previously been fractured. We've got a little bit of a notch down here and a step. So I'm surprised that she's doing so well and moving so well, but I guess if this happened a while ago and she managed to keep herself safe, now she's overcome it, and she's very impressive.
Wow, literally broken her back and kept going.
Yeah, and kept going. Yeah, it's amazing what we see even in birds that will have a clearly repaired fractured wing, and we just have no idea how they fix it in the wild and still manage to feed themselves and stay away from predators.
If this wasn't amazing enough, stick around to the end for a heartwarming twist in Andrea's story. Speaking of birds...
This is a tree mum, a little bird that's coming for triage. We're not super sure of the history just now, but we've had a look in our triage room and he's able to fly, give us some low flight around the room. And he's just missing some feathers on the top of his head. So suspicious of either being attacked by other birds or potential animal attack. So we're just going to put him under some anaesthetic now just to have a good assessment of those wings and everything.
Is this
Surely this isn't as big as they get.
I think it is, isn't it, Kate?
Really?
It's as big as these guys get. Yeah.
Birds can be really difficult to diagnose. Having hollow bones helps them to fly, but it can leave them vulnerable to breaking and injury. At the same time, birds are often resilient and will push through these injuries to survive another day.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tiny fracture that I can't feel if it's stable and if it's only one of those two bones.
Dr. Katie finishes examining this little bird for any of these common fractures. The nurses then do a quick x-ray to identify any previous breaks or injuries. As it turned out, Martin, the tree martin, was not badly injured. He was, however, a little dehydrated. Being so small, we were able to rehydrate him with less than 0.8 of a milliliter of water. Next up was this gorgeous little echidna, Rhys. Rhys was brought into us after she was struck by a car.
We'll go to x-ray to see if its beak's broken.
Surprisingly, she appears to be in good health and is extremely responsive, but there can always be more going on beneath the surface. The vets are now concerned that the beak may have been broken or fractured. To a wild echidna, a broken beak is a life-threatening injury. Hoping for the best, our vets take her in for an x-ray. This is where we can discover the full extent of her injuries. Is there anything of note that you're seeing there on the x-ray?
The tip of the beak looks good. We've got a little bit of rotation, but that's probably just our positioning. But this is the area that breaks most often, and it looks really nice.
That's good.
As you can see, it's really hard to judge much just because of all the spines that get in the way.
Sure. The x-ray looked alien to me. All these spines poking out in every direction. It was one of the craziest x-rays I've ever seen. After cleaning up some of her cuts, she was good to spend the night. I had no idea that the spines were hollow, by the way. Apparently it's important to check that the tongue isn't injured either, as they rely on it so much for their food. Is it choosing to put its tongue out, or you're helping her?
I'm helping.
Oh, gotcha. After only 24 hours of observation, the vets were confident that Rhys would be cleared for release. Let's take a quick break from the hospital and check out this little cutie.
Oh my goodness.
She was orphaned after her mother was struck by a car. Still being dependent on milk and a pouch to relax in, she's being hand-raised by one of our animal foster carers.
Oh my goodness. That is insanely cute.
Oh! After a stretch of the legs, some fresh air, and a quick toilet break, she was ready for bed again.
Big jump.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
She had a little bit of diarrhea and wasn't feeding too well for a couple of days, so came for a health check, and she's just been here for a few days. She was pretty weak when she arrived, but she's already doing much better. She wasn't hopping around like that at first.
Wow.
Yeah. And now she's suckling on her pouch because she's hungry. It's bottle time.
Let's watch that adorable little hop again. Back at the wildlife hospital, our next patient came in with a perplexing injury.
Birds have a really interesting respiratory system instead of us who just have lungs. They've also got air sacs that are around their body and internally, but also in some of their bones. Sometimes when they have a high impact, one of those membranes for the air sacs can actually rupture. And so in this case, we can see normally, just like everyone else, you'd have skin overlaying all of your muscles. We're actually seeing the skin out here because at least one of our membranes for the air sacs have ruptured, and now we've got all of this gas sitting underneath the skin. Already looking at him, you'd think he's quite chunky, but then if we part the feathers, you can actually see this is all just squishy gas sitting under the skin because it's escaped his normal airways. Luckily though, because it's still within his body and it hasn't ruptured out, he will just be able to reabsorb it. So we'll support him with some pain relief and anti-inflammatories in a little bit of time. And then, within a few days to a week, he should be good to go back to where he came from. So, Yeah, very fun. Not something that we've seen anything except for birds. So he's lucky he doesn't have anything else broken. He barely even has any bruises. He's, we think he's hit a window and just that smack has managed to rupture one of his air sacs.
I also learned that species identification can be really tough for our vets. With up to 1,000 species of bird calling Australia home, it can be challenging for our vets to identify what species they're actually working with.
It's a bowerbird. That's even cooler.
It's a female satin bell.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the hardest part of our job is actually knowing what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
But no matter what it is, we just have to treat it and it's injuries and illness. But no, it's not uncommon for us to have an animal in and before we even know what species it is, we just have to treat it and figure out what's wrong. And then that comes later. So yeah, very exciting. This is a likely female satin bowerbird because I think she's an adult from just her condition and growth of feathers.
After such a busy day at our wildlife hospital, I decided to spend the afternoon relaxing by the pool. With vet Jacob and a turtle, of course.
So this is Teddy, a green sea turtle. He actually washed up quite emaciated and fighting a pretty nasty infection. Being a green sea turtle, Teddy's actually an endangered species. So we've got two of the largest populations of green sea turtle on the east coast, very close to us here at Australia Zoo. And it means that we play quite an important role in the rehabilitation and release of these beautiful creatures. They often find themselves washing in, hit by boats, ingesting fishing line. More recently, we've actually had them coming in with a disease that we haven't seen before called soft shell syndrome. And this disease had been targeting just adult turtles specifically. We used to average about 80 sea turtles roughly a year that come to the Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital. We've had about 300 sea turtles in the last few years on average coming through our doors, and largely due to the flood event that impacted the northern region of Harvey Bay and Fraser Coast. So thankfully we're the closest sea turtle rehabilitation centre to the flooding event up north, and we were able to get involved and help rehabilitate these amazing sea turtles back to health. Dr. Katie's just about to take some blood from Teddy because he's recently finished his course of antibiotics, and we want to make sure he's still not fighting any infection. But he's a completely different turtle to when he first came in. He just was not putting up a fight whatsoever. So I'm pretty happy with how he's going. He's graduated to the large swimming pool that you can see behind me, which is a huge step moving from the ICU tubs that we have them in when they're a lot sicker. He's eating really, really well. He's put on about 8 kilograms since he's come in, which is amazing. He's probably still got about 10 kilograms to go because when he washed up, he was actually quite underweight. And Katie, being amazing, hits the vein straight away like it's no effort at all.
I'm having troubles even imagining what a skinny turtle would look like.
So a skinny turtle, their carapace, so that's the shell on top, and their plastron, which is the shell underneath of them, actually becomes quite sunken in. So if you ever see any kind of sinking around the edges of a carapace, and if you ever get to see underneath of them, it kind of sinks in as well. So that's when their body condition's starting to deteriorate. He's doing really well.
Yeah, he's much better.
With these antibiotics and a few more weeks of rehabilitation, Teddy is well on his road to recovery, and he'll be back out in the wild with his family real soon. The next week, I got a really exciting update from Katie about Andrea the possum.
That possum was so special. She ended up having a baby in hospital after a week of being here. We found she had actually had a little baby overnight, and so it was a tiny, tiny little jelly bean, and she had actually passed all her final tests, and so we decided to release her, and she ran up a tree at night time with a little baby, so that was incredible. They never ever do that in hospital. It's normally far too stressful for them, so that was really special. The overnight nurse did notice that she was licking herself a lot, and they do that when they give birth. They lick a path from the cloaca up to the pouch because this little jelly bean doesn't have eyes, ears, anything. It just has little arms, And so she makes a path for it to climb up. So she kind of alerted me to that, and then when we did an anaesthetic and had a look, fresh, tiny little baby. So that was really, really cool.